dogs barking or if you see a cat run by, don't be shocked. All right, on with the lecture. Now, today, talking about Mao Zedong and the Cultural Revolution. So we're going to answer 4 questions today. 1, what is communism? 2, who is Mao Zedong? 3, what was the Great Leap Forward? And 4, what was the Cultural Revolution? So, what is communism? And remember that at any time you can pause these videos and you can do whatever you need to. So I'd pause it now and I'd find a good definition for communism. Here's my definition. Everyone works for the country as they can. They are given what they need and not only what they want. There are no social classes and the government has ultimate control. So go back in time with me now. The year is 1949. It's a time of revolution and upheaval and bloodshed in China. The events of that period and the first decade of communism that followed forged the identity of modern China. Now, what does that mean? That means that there was a civil war. After Japan left in 1949 because of their ultimate loss to the Americans in World War II, the Japanese lost and China was no longer a colony of Japan. So in 1949, they had this big civil war between the capitalists, people that believe what we do about free market, and the communists, people that believe what Mao Zedong believed. And Mao Zedong was the leader of the communist revolution. So he founded the People's Republic of China. He was the leader of China from 1949 until his death in 1946. And he created a new line of thinking called Maoism. So he focused on the peasants. 80% of all Chinese were peasants who lived a life of extreme poverty, and Mao's idea was to turn the hidden peasant anger against the rich people and foreigners and to essentially give guns to anger. He encouraged the peasants to lead a revolution. The support from the peasants helped Mao rise as a leader in his party. Under Chairman Mao Zedong, there were 3 main changes. 1, the government took complete control of the media. 2, the government took complete control of the education system. And 3, they redistributed lands amongst the people. So, Mao's Little Red Book. Mao collected a whole bunch of sayings. Basically, people followed him around and wrote everything down that he said. And with these sayings came his Little Red Book. It was a collection of quotes and excerpts and things, and people needed to carry this around with them at all times. It was sort of like your pass to live under Mao. Now that Mao has complete control of China, he's ready for China to become a world superpower. And that means that he needs to make a great leap forward. You see, China industrially, or as they make things out of machines, was very far behind the rest of the world. So Mao's goal was to make China an industrial superpower in less than 4 to 5 years. So he wanted to modernize China's economy and develop agriculture and industry. Mao believed that both were essential to grow in order to allow the other. After all, people can't work if they're not fed. So, for the Great Leap Forward, it was very necessary for people to live in what's called communes. Here you see some pictures of communes. People would live up to 5,000 families would live in the same house. And essentially, communes are the backbone of communism. Everybody shares what they need. People were allowed to work together and not just for themselves. So communes were basically not very sanitary, not very good, and in the end turned out to be a really bad idea. Mao issued a lot of propaganda. Now, if you went and saw the Hunger Games recently, as I did, you know that propaganda is the use of television commercials or posters or something that is created to make people think something is a certain way even though it's not. So I want you to take a look at this picture. As you see happy people walking along. You see a very industrialized and modern city. You even see ships in the background that are bringing things into port. And when in reality, this was what the Great Leap Forward was. You can't modernize people that quickly. You can't change the entire country simply by telling people what to do. Mao would oftentimes have things made out of metal that was found in scraps, and nothing worked, nothing functioned. So the ultimate result of the Great Leap Forward was 30 million people died of starvation. This left Mao in a really bad light, and as you see here, he is responsible for the destruction of over 60 million people, more than Stalin, even more than Hitler. So Mao needed a comeback, as most of us do after 60 million people die. So he organized students and sent them out throughout the country to spread ideas and wipe out anyone who tried to impose him. Students were really angry at this point. They had watched their moms, their dads, their friends die of starvation, and they couldn't blame Mao for it because, after all, he's Mao. Okay? So they got the reddest red in their hearts, meaning red, the color of communism. And they blamed rich people who had money and had intelligence for the fact that the communist revolution never worked. Okay? So they had a new revolution. Propaganda posters claiming that the cultural revolution, they had already tried to revolutionize industry, but culture was not revolutionized with it. So a propaganda poster claiming that the Cultural Revolution would bring progress to people in China. Written at the top of this poster in Chinese are the words, "The path of the arts and literature will become victorious and progressive by following Chairman Mao's revolution." Mao is super popular amongst the young people now. He was super hip. Take a look at these posters. These people think Mao is awesome. Okay, so what did they do? They tried to revive the revolutionary spirit by getting rid of the four olds. 1, old customs. 2, old culture. 3, old ideas, and 4, old habits. Much of the Cultural Revolution was simply a band of red guards going around and destroying people in their homes, beating up teachers, burning ancient sculptures and things from China's past. And we know, because we're super smart, that China has an amazing past. So when you look at the band of red guards seen here, you see their little red books in their hands. That was a collection of Mao's sayings, and that was the backbone of the Cultural Revolution. Years later, people felt really bad about what they did in the Cultural Revolution, about hurting their friends and their teachers, but they were so brainwashed. Mao ruled China until he died on September 9th, 1976 from Parkinson's disease. He was 82 years old. Thus endeth the lesson. I hope you enjoyed seeing me and getting a little glimpse inside my house. I will see you next time on T. Gray's Social Studies videos.